Chapter 4, Flipping the Script. After running like your life depended on it, you burst through the doors of your film class, panting, sweating from your canvas-wide dash. I made it. I'm here. Your cries echo through the back classroom, and as one, your fellow students turn to stare at you. Sorry, I'll just... You scour the room, breathing a sigh of relief when you spot an empty seat, but you're 2 steps from it when you see you'll be sitting beside. Way to make an entrance, baby bird. You're one to talk. I heard all about your entrance last night. You're one to talk. I heard all about your entrance last night. Considering how late you were up, I thought you'd be passed out for the rest of the day. Next time you should join in on the fun. It beat keeping your ear to the wall all night. I wasn't. But your stomach ties itself in a flustered knot as he raises a disbelieving eyebrow. Why are you even here? And don't tell me you're a fellow lost soul in love with the art of film. What I am is a guy who knows a cakewalk when I see him. Why wouldn't I want to watch movies for a grade? Maybe that's because this isn't just watching movies. Professor Takeda's films are analytical masterpieces. I've seen everything she's directed. She's my idol, which is how I know she's gonna take one look at you and eat you alive. Bold words from someone too nervous to sit next to me. You don't have to worry, you know. I don't bite. Not unless asked. Giggity. Drew nods to the seat beside him, and the thought of his leg pressed against yours under the table makes your heart race. Instead, you fix him with a pointed smile. Really, with all the women in and out of your bedroom, I'd have thought you would have diversified your tricks a little. Spend a lot of time thinking about what I do in my bedroom, do you? It's not like you have any efforts to hide it, waltzing around in nothing but a towel, inviting naked women over, hugging up in the common area. So you were listening. Well, in case you didn't tell through the wall, there's not much I won't do in bed, including mixing pain with pleasure to put things over the edge. So right when I'm about to... Oh my god, TMI. Don't act so scandalized. Your innocent little sheltered act isn't gonna work on me anymore. All of Greek Row saw you in action at Professor May I party. It's time to face facts. Drew leans across the empty desk space until his face is inches away from yours, and your stomach flutters as his eyes flit to your lips. Under the Mary Sue exterior, you've got repressed little hellion just begging to tear free. Don't pretend that's not just what you want. You just have a thing for debauching the innocent good girl. How much longer are you going to play up the innocent act? I saw you playing the rebel. He lowers his voice even more, and unconsciously you lean closer to hear his next words, the heady scent of his cologne washing over you. And I saw you liking it, so you own your stuff, baby bird. Whatever, classes are in session now, and that's where I'm putting all my focus. As if on cue, a smartly dressed woman walks into the room and steps up to the lecture podium. Good morning, my name is Professor Hiroko Takihara, and I'll be your instructor for Film 102 Lessons and Perspectives. And the squeaky... and the squeaky kitten will be your assistant. I'm sorry. Listen, I have 4 of these little buggers running around my room at this point. Her eyes fall on you, still standing in the middle of the class next to a perfectly empty seat. Miss, if you could take your seat, we'll get started. Drew quirks an eyebrow at you, waiting to see what you'll do, and you decide then and there. I can't sit next to him. He's my annoying roommate. You hear Drew snort under his breath as Professor Takeda raises an eyebrow. I fail to see how that makes this seat off limits. What did you say your name was? Anissa St. James. Well, Anissa, our class time, unlike the number of chairs in this room, is finite, and we have a lot to discuss, so sit. Yes, Professor. You plop down next to Drew, mortified at your horrible first impression. There, was it so hard? His knee bumps yours under the temple, lightly enough to be an accident. Instead of dwelling, you focus hard on your professor. Now, when I got started in film, I learned the fundamentals of directing first by watching, then by doing. In my class, you'll do the same. To that end, we'll get started with a short clip I shot specifically for this class. She dims the lights and cues up her laptop on the projector and selects a media file. The video begins. In a darkened bedroom, you see a man pressing his full weight against a boarded-up door. Behind him, a woman holds their crying baby. I don't hear anything. Maybe we lost it. It might not have seen us, or... There's a creak in the hallway. Then a steady thump of footsteps. The man steels himself, the voice full of solemn strength. When it comes, take the baby and run. I'll hold it off. No, I can't leave you. He turns to her, pulling her and the baby close, and for a moment you can tell he's holding his entire world in his two hands. I'll find you. Whether it's in this life or the next, I'll always find my way back to you. I promise. Hey, zombie! Run! The man tackles the monster. The woman sobs into the baby's blanket as she sprints past the tooling figures. In this life or the next. The camera cuts to the brawl, and in the shadows you watch the monster widen its jaws and clamp down, spraying the wall with a splattering of red. After a stunned silence, the lights flick on and the Professor Takeda stands expectingly at the front of the room. Now, just from the few moments, who thinks they can tell what genre this short would fall into? For a moment, everyone in the room is still, and you raise your hand. This is an easy one. I think it would be a... Why do I feel like picking horror film is wrong? Because most of that scene was all about love, right? It was a shorts. I'll pick horror film, though. Horror is about terror and the desperation to survive. The use of love scene here just amplifies those emotions. Interesting. Tell me more. Takeda focuses all of her attention on you, and as the moment arises to redeem yourself, you feel a wave of confidence overtake you. Well, clearly you wanted the wife and child to be important as to the context for his fear, his determination, his decision to act. You can say selfless. And now that they're left to fend for themselves, it's like his worst fears have come true. They're alone and defenseless. Are we still really peddling the idea of a damsel in distress in 2023? You look over in the middle of your magnum opus to find Drew crossing his arms, a smug smile on his lips. Talk about not passing the Bechdel's test. Looks like there's another opinion in the room. Go ahead, Mr. Drew Young. Drew flashes you a smile, and as you sit next to him, seething, he turns his attention to Professor Takeda in the class. The wife and child aren't their literary devices. The device, or the monster is. It's a stand-in for all the obstacles in their love story. Honestly, I wish it was just a monster movie. We'd get the backstory of where this thing came from and lore about the world. Instead, she'll just die of her injuries after defeating the thing and have a smile on her face before you get to see her love on the other side. There's no way that's right. You whirl around to face him, and suddenly you're eye to eye, his cologne wafting over you as he leans in ever closer. I told you, Takeda's films actually have depth. Hate to break it to you, baby bird, but good movies aren't deep. Deep movies aren't usually good. Well, that's hogwash. So you're saying no recent box office hits have had any underlying meaning? How can they? They're also focused on selling the chemistry of actors and ramming scenes down our throats. It's actually kind of true. Kind of like Pixelberry. I'm just poignantly giving you criticism. I'd have thought you'd like that, Mr. Pain and Pleasure. The words spring out of your mouth before you can catch them, and Drew pauses before the hint of a smirk blooms on his lips. Careful, little Miss Innocent, your bad girl is showing. His bottom lip catches in his teeth, and your skin warms, his intense gaze flustering you. I just mean What a Guy is a great movie that's heart-wrenching, romantic, and discusses gender disparity. I'm sorry, did you just call that existential crisis disguised as a sports movie romantic? Who are you calling an existential crisis? Ahem. Interruption jolts you both to your senses, and it's only when you pull back, chest heaving, that you realize how close you two have gotten. I'm sorry, Professor, we didn't mean to stall class for this. Actually, this aligns perfectly with my lesson for the day, and clearly you're both passionate about it. You chance a glance at Drew next to you, and when your eyes meet, he clears his throat and looks away. Takeda smiles. Why don't you two continue? Well, if it's part of the lesson. It's true, if it's part of the lesson, why not? The least I can do is teach Drew there's more to modern age of film than chicka-wow-wow. I'm sure there's more. It's just not the high-class art you think it is. Consider this classroom a battlefield for the two of you to wage that intellectual war. Alright. She gestures for you two to come to the front of the room. As Drew walks behind you, he whispers, "Bold words, so let's see if you can back them up." You place your hands defiantly on your hips as Drew leans up against the chalkboard, looking you up and down expectingly. Want to give us a quick synopsis? It's been a while since I've seen What a Guy. Of course, our main character changes her outward appearance to join a club she was excluded from just for being a woman. And while she's trying to find herself, she manages to find love along the way. It's a story that people can relate to. You mean as long as they're also pretending to be their own cousin in order to play on a co-ed university lacrosse team? It's a modern take on a classic story of finding love where you least expect it. It's unrealistic. It is what it is. The wounded team captain with his own agenda. Drew pushes himself off the board, and as he strides towards you, your heart races, even as you stand your ground. The new girl, who can't admit she's a lawless rebel even to herself, how unheard of. She did what she had to get what she wanted. Or she wore a costume that brought out all the things she was afraid of in herself. Ring any bells? You thought, just race back to the thrill you got hiking up your skirt, being the girl no one saw coming. Drew smirks. I thought so. It's clear the movie isn't all he's talking about, but as he goads you, you decide then and there to lean into it. If Drew thinks I'm such a rebel, deep down, I'll lean into this rebellious side. You step towards him, trailing your finger up his arm. The move shocks him, and then you sidle closer. Clearly you think the new girl should just give in, but what if she doesn't do that for the reason? You catch his eye, making sure his gaze is locked on yours before allowing it to slip to his lips. What if, once that side is out, she's not sure if she can put it away again, or worse? You lean close enough to graze his chest with yours as you tilt your head towards his, immediately noticing the moment his breath catches. She can, but doesn't want to. And he leans in towards you, bringing his lips nearly to yours. And as far as the captain's plans, well, you reach past him, slipping the chalk off the ledge and in your hand before stepping back, unable to keep the self-satisfaction off your face. Even the best laid plans can crumble unless you plan to almost kiss me in front of the whole class, that is. Around you, your classmates applaud and cheer, thrilling you. She's got you there, Drew. Alright, you may have a point, but pushing down your wild side isn't sustainable long term. Really? I would like to beg to differ with you, sir. He slips behind you, and you can feel his eyes on you, warming you through. When you least expect it, it's going to pop up, and I don't know if you'll be ready for it. You tilt your head with a grin. You've got him right where you want him. You school your features into a look of feigned innocence. I'm sorry, but I thought this discussion was about what a guy, but it sounds like you're talking about us. Hey, you were the one making pretty clear allusions here. You only think that because you're the love-sick team captain. If I'm the newbie with a secret identity, that makes you the star player that can't resist her. I mean, he and I are both hot, but aside from that, I'm not seeing the similarities. Maybe you should draw a picture. As you turn away from him and begin to draw a Venn diagram, his eyes skim your frame, and you can't help leaning into your work, just so. Alright, class, can anyone tell me the difference between this circle, containing our captain? A guy well-bent on doing things his way with a campus full of women knocking down his bedroom door. You peek over your shoulder in just enough time to see Drew's eye snap to yours, well aware of exactly what he was looking at. And the circle that represents Drew. You trace the original circle and turn around to shoot Drew a smirk of your own. They're the same circle. Bingo. Face it, Drew. All that's left is for you to fall head over heels in love with me. Imagine saying that out loud in front of your classmates. Drew's eyes widen almost imperceptibly, and you bite back a smile, thrilled at finally being the one to knock him off kilter. Boldly, you look him up and down before fixing him with a stare. And the next time you want to see my ass, you don't have to make him an excuse, you can just ask. Ooh, it's getting spicy in here. Suddenly, Drew takes a step towards you, his eyes locked on yours. I'm starting to think it's you who wants me, baby bird. But I wonder, do you think you could even handle me? As the class teeters and whispers at Drew's comeback, his voice slips into a husky, sensual tone, and your heart leaps in your chest. After all, the heavy breathing, the begging, a good girl wouldn't be able to keep up. His hand comes to rest on your hip, and your mind fills with the sounds he and Davina made last night. And suddenly, flustered, your chalk slips from your fingers and onto the floor. Oh, I wouldn't want you to be out of your depth. As he pulls back, you meet his eyes, and faced with his utter self-satisfaction, you see only one choice. Force him to listen to me. I should never do that to anyone. I can pick up. Digging deep, you tap into the part of you that lives in your fantasies, a part you're not sure how to tame. I'd be more worried about your own depth if I were you. Because when you're in my presence, I'm in control. You stare him down, feeling bolder every second. You lean against the railing of the chalkboard and push another piece over the ledge. It clatters to the floor right at your feet, and you lock eyes with Drew. Now pick it up. Oh, Jesus Christ, okay. From around the room, you hear the whisper start. He's not really gonna do it, is he? You raise your eyebrows, and for a moment Drew just pauses, before sinking to his knees in front of you with a suggestive smirk. Yes, ma'am. Oh, damn. His eyes never leave yours, and as he stands, his fingers brush the inside of your calf, bringing you to your melting point. Suddenly, you're brought back to reality by the sound of a loud wolf whistle. Woo, woo, woo! Now that was hot! Drew's not the only one hot for teacher. Caught up in the moment, you'd all forgotten the fact you're in the middle of a very full classroom. But the embarrassment you know you should feel is replaced by exhilaration you've only felt with Drew. While I appreciate a passionate debate, I need to remind you that you're in fact still in class. A class that happens to be running low on time, so if you have any closing statements to make, now would be the time to make them. The confidence you've gained in this debate with Drew reaching an all-time high, you feel ready to deliver your final blow. Skillful execution is necessary to call something art, sure, but art is nothing if it doesn't create a passionate response. What else would you call this debate except passionate? You turn to face Drew, and the look in his eyes says he's feeling everything you are and more. Still, he shrugs, turns back to his seat. An assignment, one that's hopefully worth a few points of extra credit. The The class chuckles, but as Drew glances back over at you through her shoulder, you meet his eye. If that was the assignment, you're gonna need that extra credit. Because it sounds like you didn't learn a thing. Oh, trust me, this was very educational. That earns a rowdy response from the class, and despite Professor Takeda rolling her eyes, you catch a smile on her face, too. You'll each get extra credit, but I have to call this one for Miss St. James. Now, if you'll return to your seats. You settle in next to Drew, and then once again his thigh grazes yours, just light enough to be accidental. But the smile lingering on his lips suggests otherwise. At the front of the classroom, Professor Takeda clears her throat. As for the war of romance versus horror, I imagine you'll both be relieved to know you're both right. How? We both had completely different answers. Because you don't need to be one or another, you can actually mix both together. Once a film has been released to the public, the original intent no longer matters. It becomes whatever the audience says it is. Which leads us to the question I expect to have answered by the end of the semester. What opinion does your audience have of you? Of me? Of all of you. You all walk through life interacting with those around you. Now's the time to see what they see. Yeah, because it doesn't sound psychological damaging at all. You and a partner will explore what makes the other who they are, and answer that question on film over the course of the semester. And Drew and Anissa, I'm going to pair the two of you up personally. What? I just have this feeling that your video will say as much about the one filming as the one being filmed. I'm expecting big things, so don't let me down, Yes, Professor. Whatever you say. Excellent. Now, for the logistics of the assignment. As you leave class with Drew later, you whip out your day planner. I've got a few hours until my next class, so I'm thinking I could get you in the suite, probably on the couch. Damn, baby bird, you work fast. To get started on the project, not for whatever it is you were thinking. Wouldn't you like to know? He shoots you a coy smile, and for a moment you can't help but be transfixed by it until it shifts into pure panic. Watch it. His hand shoots out and tugs your back hard, wrenching you off of your collision course with a sturdy lamppost. Oh. You find yourself pressed tightly against his warm muscle, your face dangerously close to Drew's as your chest heaves from the sudden shock. You glance up to find Drew looking you over, his gaze lingering on your parted lips. Enjoying the view? Why do I feel like no matter how I answer, I'll be wrong? Probably because you will be. What exactly does no touching mean to you, anyway? Instead of letting you go, he pulls you even closer to his chest, and your breath catches audibly in your throat. Usually I get the concept just fine, but right now it's sounding suspiciously like, next time, let me faceplant. Who says there's gonna be a next time? Your track record. This is like the third time you've crashed into me. Do you ever watch where you're going? Excuse me for being responsible and focusing on our project. You should maybe focus on where you're walking. I'm serious. You know, there's a such thing of half-assing a school assignment, and if I were you, I'd give it a try. It might save your life. Hell no, when I commit to something, I don't half-ass it. And since I do have this project with you, I plan on giving you my whole ass. Thank you very much. Embarrassment wells up as you realize exactly what you've just said, and you break out of Drew's hold in mortification. I mean... Oh, baby bird. That was an on-brand for you. It hurts. You know what I meant. It just didn't come out the way I thought it was in my head. Hastily, you start down the path, whipping out your camera and aim at Drew as he falls in a step beside you. Anyway, back on topic. We still have to do this project, so how about you tell me something about you I don't already know? but he covers the lens with his hand, forcing the camera down. Chill, the entire point of this assignment is that people are gonna believe what they want to believe, so why bother doing it at all? Seriously. You're really gonna be that guy? Exactly, now you've learned something new about me you can put in your little project. Look, Mr. Half-assing it, you might not care about your grades, but I do. I need to do well in this class. Why? Because you think you're the next Hiroko Takeda? No, because I'm here on a scholarship, you jerk. Drew stops in his tracks, and for the first time since you've met, you feel like he's actually seeing you for you. I have to keep my grades up and stay out of trouble, or I lose my scholarship, and if that happens, I can't afford school. I didn't realize. Yeah, because you had your own priorities. That's why you came up with those rules for your roommate agreement. Yeah, I wasn't trying to ruin your fun. I just didn't want it to cost me my future. Drew is silent for a moment, as if considering his next words, and then... I don't know if it's any consolation, but my RA ship is considered financial compensation. I fill the role, they pay me for my room and board. Aside from them occasionally throwing random transfers into my extra bedroom, it's a pretty sweet gig. Aren't you worried about losing it? Acting the way you do? Wow, you really asking me to spill my guts right here on the sidewalk, huh? Why not? They'd look good next to mine. Without thinking, you give Drew a playful shove. Making him chuckle, he meets your gaze with a surprisingly sincere smile. Tell you what, I know a pretty secluded off-campus spot. So, kind of my secret. So, why don't we talk there? The woods, apparently. Nice. Lead the way. An hour later, you find yourself stepping onto a cliff overlooking the lake below. Trees and slopes extend as far as the eye can see. Oh, it's gorgeous. I thought you might like it. Not a bad opening for your video, huh? You're not kidding. Pulling out your camera, you hit the record button and pan across the beautiful vista, getting shots of the glimmering water and dense trees below. Film and all, trying to capture that first impression that hit you as you stepped on the ridge and pan over to Drew. He seems almost oblivious to the camera on him, and you film him for a few moments, capturing his unguarded self. So, now that you've brought me to your secret spot, what is this place? Inez calls it Faith Bluff. Bit far for a leap of faith in a lake, but it's got that feeling, doesn't it? I can see it. Have you ever taken the leap? Hell no. But I like the possibility is always there. That one day, if I get the nerve, I could. Sounds like it holds a lot of meaning for you. Yeah, well... Drew considers his answer, the breeze blowing playfully through his hair as you film. When I was a freshman, Inez roped me into hiking out here with her. The sun had gone down, so all we could see were the stars. That was the first time I really realized how big the universe is, you know? That you were just this tiny speck against the vast sky. Exactly. Drew excitedly turns to face you for the first time since you arrived, a newfound light in his eyes. You feel like that too? All the time when I'm in a crowded space, just one lone soul in a sea of people who always seem to be 2 steps ahead of me. That realization worries me a lot sometimes. For me, it just proves that not a single thing I do in the grand scheme of things, so my worries aren't really that big a deal. As the biggest worrier I know, maybe I can use the reminder too. Wow. You never miss an opportunity for a dig, do you? Even in the most serious, vulnerable moments, you've gotta still get a jab in at me, huh? I can't help it. It's so easy. A small, insignificant speck in the universe, and you use your short, minuscule time in the cosmos to annoy your roommate. I'm almost flattered. He shoots you a smile, and you're not sure whether it's him or the glow of the afternoon sun, but you feel a warm glow all over. Trying to hide your own smile behind the camera, you go for another question. So, how many girls have you brought up here? Just in case I need to prepare this location being recognized by multiple women in the audience. Oh, I see. You're trying to get that something juicy so you can ruin my dating life with a bad edit. Hey, don't blame the editing. If the answer is high enough to do that, then you need to get a new go-to move. The answer's 2. I've never been here with anyone but Inez and now you. You look up from the camera, and as the two of you lock eyes, you can help the flutter that trills in your chest. Your words stick in your throat. Wow, I don't know what to say, thanks. Yeah, well, you're welcome. But this is supposed to be a 2-part project, not a criminal confession. It's your turn to be in the hot seat. You roll your eyes, but hand over the camera, your fingers pointing out the features. You just adjust the lens, and I got it. Sit still so I can center you in the frame. He aims the camera at you, and as he looks at your image on the screen, his smile widens slightly. Gotcha. Now tell me something. I came up with 2 of my own questions. You can too. Fine. He pauses for a moment, clearly biting back the question on his tongue before thinking better of it, and just going for it. Why were you disappointed to get me as a partner on your project? What? Come on, it was obvious you weren't jumping for joy. I just want to know why. The question takes you off guard, and it takes you a little time to take stock and come up with a sincere and honest answer. Because I didn't think you could be serious. Making your mission to try and frazzle me, and you called the class watching movies. But as infuriating as you can be, you've surprised me. It's nice to see who you are without all the innuendos. And filming eye candy can't be that bad. I'll let your gaze slip down his frame before catching his eye. Every cloud has its silver lining. Honestly though, you have a very different perspective than me, and that's a good thing for a creative project like this. All the heavy lifting will need to be done in the editing, of course. We'll storyboard, decide what beats we want to hit, and without warning, Drew hands the camera back to you with a studied casualness. Actually, I don't think I want to work on the project anymore today. What? Why? This place, it's my sanctuary. I didn't want to taunt it with work. Or taint it. He turns out to look over the view again, and for a moment, you're tempted to agree with him, to just enjoy the sunshine and the view. But the check-in dates on Professor Takeda's syllabus aren't getting any further away. Drew, I get it, but it has to get done sometime, you know? He doesn't move, but you can sense him tensing just a little. If you say so, knock yourself out. Here's your camera and focus on Drew, and you can see his walls going up. Still, you're determined to get what you need. Well, that's not very friend-like. So tell me, who is Drew Young? I guess I'm just an ordinary guy. I work for the school, and I hang out with my friends. Yeah, but anybody can see that. Who are you deep down? I think I prefer the earlier line of questioning. I mean, it was fun, but it really doesn't get to the core of who you are, does it? What part of I don't want to show the world my core are you not getting? Maybe it's easy for someone like you, but... There it is again! Haven't you learned by now that I can't be shoved into a box any more than you can? It's not someone like me, and you're not someone like you. We're both someones living with our own issues. Except you only seem to care about yours. Baby bird. You turn on your heel and storm off, leaving him behind without sparing a backward glance. As you stomp through the woods on your way back to the campus, you realize exactly what you've gotten yourself into. Oh boy, how am I going to pull this project off if Drew won't open up? Yep. Without further ado, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. we'll get to our momentarily me having words here in a second. Also, head down to the description of the video, plenty of links there and things to check out. And without further ado, let me ask the following. I have two things to ask you. One, what do you see when you see me? When you think of me? This channel that I've made, this community, the person that I've let you get to know. Let me know in the comments. If you're too afraid to, feel free to DM me. But otherwise, what do you see? Very good question. What do you see? Seriously. That's all I'll say. Yeah, no. I think that's it for the end of this video. Normally I go on, or I at least leave tidbits here and there, but actually that's a really good question to leave with you guys. What do you see? What impression do I give you? Seriously, I would like to know. Without further ado, thanks for watching. Catch you all later. Look forward to your answers. Be honest. Don't sugarcoat it. Be honest. Bye.